So hello, Phil Jackson. Welcome to our little Zoom session today, where we're going to be talking about your wonderful article in the lovely Salonpreneur magazine, launch
Salonpreneur
edition.
magazine.
Woohoo!
There we go.
Yeah. So your article,
Hmm.
and every time I see this everywhere, I just love, because we decided to go like pride colours, didn't we?
We
Yours.
did. We did. We were
Um,
going loud and proud for the month.
Loud and proud. In actual fact, I went to our local community pub. And we went to a pride quiz last week,
Mm-hmm.
and despite having three wonderful gay men on our team,
Mm.
we didn't do brilliantly.
Oh, okay.
They didn't know. They didn't have any of the information about
Oh,
pride.
I thought you were going to say that you were holding them back.
No, no, we didn't know any of the answers to. I think we knew the answer to one pride question because we had a
Right.
pride round, and we got 3 out of 10.
Wow.
I know, but we raised 108, I think 150 quid or something like that for local pride related charities.
There we go.
Yeah, which was great. And I think then they've been doing a whole pride month that finishes the end of this week. And I think we were up to about £815 or something like that they've raised.
Excellent.
It's been really lovely. We didn't realise there's such an amazing diverse community.
We get
Yeah,
everywhere, mate.
trans people in. Honestly, you can't believe who came out of the woodwork. It was amazing. In a tiny little rural village in Norfolk.
Yeah,
But
well, in my little village in Wiltshire, we have our Pride as well, Pewsey Pride. That was a couple of weeks ago. So yeah,
yeah,
we're everywhere, mate. Can't avoid
I
us.
know. You get about, don't you?
Yeah.
Anyway, so your wonderful article, this one,
Mm,
is the quiet revolution, and about
mm,
how AI is changing our world,
it
and
is.
how we can work with it. So, and we were just having a conversation before we started recording about some of the things that will help us with our businesses,
Sure.
and how we can, and Debbie, we were just recording with Debbie as well. We were just sort of chatting about how you can now have like virtual receptionists and all that kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
yeah, so let's just like drop straight into
Mm.
virtual reception. How can that work? And what do you see as the advantages? Because this is going to be one of probably the biggest interfaces that we use within a salon world.
I think that the what we're up against in the salon industry is huge profit pressure. So we're in a space where there are too many salon businesses, which is putting downward pressure on pricing. At the same time, we've got inflation in all of our supplies and property and energy costs and all those good things pushing prices up. So the only place that both of those things can be funded from is our profits. And what I see is AI is this massive opportunity to cut overhead without cutting standards of service. And if we went as far as a virtual reception, I mean, I think I actually did a podcast about this, and there's a huge amount of inherited wisdom in salon businesses. There's a lot of stuff that we do purely because it's always been done that way. And I think if you were completely ignorant to the salon industry and building that business from the ground up, it would not look like it does now in lots of ways. And I think reception is a very expensive luxury these days. I think that bit of prime real estate could be put to much better use. I don't believe that there are many salons that can afford full-time reception cover anyway.
No.
And what we encountered in my salon business was we had an inconsistency in service. So we tried our best to staff reception as much as we could, but ultimately receptionists have holidays and they don't work 9 till 8 because we had an early shift and a late shift, and so there was an inconsistency. The service you got on a Tuesday evening was not the same as you would get on a Saturday morning.
Absolutely.
So
Same in mind too.
so we chose to pull reception out, and this was way before AI, and pushed really hard into online bookings. Most salons now have made the switch and are with online bookings. Most clients now have a preference for that. Personally, I will not book a table or an appointment anywhere unless I can do it online. I have
Yeah.
no interest on picking up the phone and trying to talk to somebody. Yeah, there's some clients out there that have got that resistance, but not many, and certainly not enough to make it a commercially viable decision not to go down there. And I think if you're going to have a receptionist, maybe we just need to redefine that role a little bit rather than someone who's just glued to a desk.
Yeah,
Why not
absolutely.
turn them into, and I've always said, you know, if we're going to have a receptionist, let's make them more of a maitre d'. Let's have them moving around the salon, hosting that experience where they're
Yeah,
actually adding some value. Because taking bills and taking bookings is not enough anymore.
no.
So I think the more we can do in the beauty rooms, the more we can do at the chair, the better. Everyone's got the capability to do that now. You can have your booking system on your iPad, so your own team can be rebooking, taking bills, taking payments from the chair, all those good things.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, if they're booking online and we're taking care of the payments and rebookings, what is a receptionist for these days?
It
I
is, and
don't
I
think
think
there's a
like
case for it.
in my salon business, I always, once we had a booking system,
Hmm.
we had the opportunity to do recurring bookings.
Hmm.
So we encouraged all of our clients to book for a year at a time
Yep.
and adjust as they needed to.
Hmm.
And not only does that then give you an understanding each month of what you've got due through your till, and you can't odds life changes and stuff like that for people,
Hmm.
but generally it gives you can project and you've got your cash flow there, you know what you've got coming in,
Mm.
and that helps you so much in so many ways.
Yeah.
But when I always used to have on our evenings, because they were really busy, and on a Saturday, I always did have somebody in, always on a Saturday. And when my daughter was around, she used to do the weeknight evenings as well.
Hmm.
But they used to be there much more. They did used to provide a reception service, and they'd lighten the load a little bit from us. But they were there to help support us, get our rooms turned over, and just they could do the making the teas and coffees and all that kind of stuff, and be there. And like you say, very much in that sort of maitre d' role,
Mm.
where they're just enhancing people's experience.
Hmm.
And on a busy Saturday, when we were like back to back to back to back all day without stopping,
Yeah.
we could just sit with our nose to the grindstone
Hmm.
while they did all the nice stuff and
Hmm.
just made our clients' lives feel much nicer,
Yeah.
and keep the washing machine going and
Hmm.
doing all that stuff, and just doing all of those back end stuff and all the back of house stuff that just keeps us at front of house working smoothly.
Mm. No,
And
I
I think,
think the
and
problem now
AI
is that
will struggle with some of that stuff longer term.
yeah, but I think that where we've got the difficulty now though is the minimum wage has got so high
Mm.
that actually just doing those nice things isn't enough anymore. It's not
No.
adding enough. Um, so I think, and largely it's around managing client expectations.
Mm.
If your clients expect there to be someone at the end of the phone answering the phone and there isn't, you've got a problem. If they don't
Mm.
expect there to be someone there, it's not a problem anymore. You don't expect to go and check in at a desk when you fly Ryanair. They've made that expectation really, really clear. You
Yeah.
check in on the app before you go.
Yeah.
So it's about just communicating that with clients really effectively. But in terms of the AI stuff, I think if I were a salon software company, I would be really worried right now,
Mm.
because I think we are months away from actually a lot of the salon software companies not being necessary anymore. They're not stepping up quick enough. And between AI and your Google Calendar, it's getting harder and harder to justify salon software at all.
Mm.
And I think the opportunity as far as things like marketing is concerned for us to suddenly be on a level playing field with much bigger businesses. Whereas before we wouldn't have had the money for a marketing department or an outsourcing team, and suddenly we can get, you know, professional results
Yeah.
in a fraction of the time for 20 quid a month. You know, it's almost a no-brainer.
Yeah. And I think there's just so much opportunity that we can, like, I mean, I know, like you write about in the article, is, sort of like just trying to adjust some of the processes that you have, and like
Hmm.
for stock control and inventory and all that kind of stuff, of just how you manage those situations without, and I mean, I know the booking system I used to have use in my salon, and they had like a full inventory control system.
Hmm.
Well, that you don't necessarily going to need anymore, are you? And
No,
I think if you've got that kind of booking system, there's other alternatives out there that you may be able to just sort of, dot some I's and cross some T's in a completely different way that you never even imagined.
definitely. I think it's going to actually take us back to much simpler tools because we've got this one amazing brain, for want of a better word, that can use those tools much more effectively. So we don't need all the bells and whistles built into our software anymore. We can actually use very, very simple software again.
Yeah. So what do you think? So what would be your biggest recommendation as a piece of AI support for a salon at the moment?
Oh my goodness, there's so much. There's so much. I mean, so the way that I work on AI is in three different directions. So I'd look at money, I look at marketing, and I look at kind of productivity. So my kind of top three at the moment. Let's go with money first of all. So I'm a big advocate of profit first, where you take your income,
Yep.
pay yourself first, distribute that income into different pots so that you've always got, your costs covered, but making sure you're getting paid properly. And I've got a chat GPT, custom GPT set up. So I tell it what my weekly income, in fact, I did it this morning, tell it what my weekly income is. And it says, okay, you need to allocate this to this, this to this. So it does that calculation, which, yeah, you could do that with a spreadsheet, but there's a couple of advantages it's got. The first is I don't have to understand how formulae work in spreadsheets anymore, because ChatGPT does that for me. But secondly, what it's got, because we're at the end of July now, so what it's got is the history, so it can analyze how I'm doing against my monthly goals, quarterly goals, annual goals, and it prepares a little monthly financial report for me, summarizing my progress towards those financial goals as well, which I wouldn't be able to get from a
Yeah.
spreadsheet. So on the money side, definitely that. Marketing, I've fallen in love with a bit of software called Gamma this week, which is actually presentation software. It's designed so you'll be able to take a script or an article or bullet points, drop it into Gamma, and it will do a very nice job of putting slideshow presentations together for you. And brilliant if you learn in a different way. So if an article is just too overwhelming, you can drop the article in, it'll break it down into slides, makes it much more digestible. Great if you're presenting in front of an audience. But what I realized was you could then also use it if you change the format.
I was just thinking, my brain was going there already.
Yeah, if you change the format to match your social media,
Yeah.
we can make carousels. So we can just drop bullet points in and get actually very nice. And you can upload on the paid account at least, which is not very much money. I think it's $10. You can upload all your branding colors and your logo and have branded carousels really quickly. So on the marketing side, I'm all over that.
I'm literally as well, just before I stopped doing what I was doing to come and do these Zooms, and before that I was sitting painstakingly creating carousels, and it's just mind-numbing.
Yes, too dull, too dull.
Yeah, very, very dull. I don't enjoy it. I hate it.
And then on the productivity side, I mean, the world's literally your oyster. But my favorite at the moment is a Google piece of software called Notebook LM. And Notebook LM for accelerating learning is superb.
Yeah.
And we've got some brilliant use cases in business and outside business. So basically, Notebook LM, where it's different to other language models, is it's a closed system. So basically you tell it what information you want to access, and it won't go beyond that unless you ask it to. Whereas ChatGPT will imagine stuff and create it and fill in the gaps for you. This is a closed system. So the first use case that I came up with for it was actually a business use case, which was your policies and procedures. You could have all of that put into Notebook LM. And then your team members could first of all learn it in a format that suits them, because it will create a little podcast for you, or it will create Q&A, it will create cheat sheets for you. But also your team member will be able to ask it questions. And I've done this actually with, I wanted to understand the terms and conditions, whether something was viable, uploaded all the terms and conditions for a product, because who's going to read that lot? And then you can just type the question to Google Gemini and ask it questions about the T's and C's, and it came up with, no, that's actually not covered by this, which I thought was really interesting. But it could be asking questions around how your policies and procedures. What is your, I don't know, refund policy, for example? And it would have access to that information without imagination. But if you want to learn something new, fantastic, because it's part of the Google ecosystem. We can just give it a whole load of YouTube links and then say, right, I want to learn how to do this. Here's 20 YouTube videos that I found on it. Summarize your learning and understanding and create me a cheat sheet. So for accelerated learning, I love Notebook LM.
Absolutely brilliant. And I first came across it, interestingly, I've just been talking about networking with Debbie Lewis, and it was at one of our networking meetings. I came across this guy, and I think I've mentioned him to you previously. He's an AI architect, and he introduced me to Notebook LM. And he was explaining to me, originally it was like used as a research function, and which is why it works from what you load into it. It doesn't go off looking for answers across the internet, does it, in the same way? So you can put in I mean, I know for me, like my intention with it was to put in every article I've ever written, every blog, every people, all my podcasts, put everything in there, because it's then your mind in AI, isn't it? Effectively, that's my understanding of it. So then everything that's in your head, or in your world, you can then use as a resource.
You can. There's a better way of doing that though.
Oh,
The problem with Notebook LM is that it's not, no, it is shareable, but if I shared a Notebook LM with you,
yeah.
you have access not only to the output, but also all of the resource.
Mm.
So I couldn't share that brain with you without you
Yeah.
being able to alter or add to it. So it's great for
They're like
internal
Wikipedia.
stuff. Yeah, a bit like that. So anyone could kind of chip in, which you wouldn't necessarily want. So I'm using a different piece of software called Delphi, and Delphi is basically, and I've got this as support for one of my programs now. By the end of the year, it will be supporting all of my programs. So I've uploaded all of the modules, all of the downloads, all of the cheat sheets that go with it, but I've also given it access to all of my podcasts, so it speaks with my voice and my
Yeah.
tone. And also the podcast, you know, with the best will in the world, courses go out of date. The podcast is always the latest information.
Yeah.
So it's got access to all that as well, and it updates itself because it's tapped into the feed on YouTube. So you can type a question about any of my programs and it will be able to give you the answer or direct you to where the download is or whatever, and answer it as if it was me. And you can have a typed conversation or you can pick up the phone and speak to it, and it imitates my voice as well.
I just can't. Do you know? I just want to sit and have all this stuff. Just how long have you got to like learn all this stuff? It's just every time I talk to you or other people that are like play with AI far more than I do.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm using it quite practically at the moment, whereas you are learning AI and how it works in a far different way from me. And I every time I talk to you at the moment, it's like I could go and use that. I could go and use that, but at the moment I haven't got enough time to make.
But actually, I think that's a good thing because I think there is a lot of shiny stuff
Yeah.
around at the moment. I think it's actually a far better approach to go through your day
Mm.
identifying things that you think AI might just be able to help with.
Yeah.
And any task, in my head, any task that you've done 3 times is probably you could automate.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I go through my day looking for opportunities for AI and then find the software that suits it. Whereas I think, and actually I think that's given me a much broader experience because I'm not just using ChatGPT, I'm using Claude, I'm using Perplexity, I'm using Gemini, I'm using Notebook LM and Gamma and all these other pieces of software, because ChatGPT isn't always the best solution to what I want it to do.
No.
Whereas if you're just kind of playing with shiny stuff, it's like, oh, ChatGPT can do this, I'm going to shoehorn that into my business somehow, when actually there wasn't a business need there in the first
Yeah.
place. So I think it's
Yeah.
probably better not to be playing. And you know, the joy is I've got a course where I teach people about AI, so I'm allowed to play all day.
Yeah.
That's
I
literally
know
my
that's you've
job
just given
now.
yourself license.
It's just a joy. It really is the most fun I've had in my business for a really long time,
Yeah.
just playing with tech all day.
I just think it's just, even in the few, I mean, really, it's like a blink of an eye that we've been using it for.
Hmm.
And just in that time, I know Mo Gauda, who I'm a great fan of, and he estimated, I'm sure when I saw him a couple of years ago speaking, and he said that we will be where they thought we were going to be at 2030, we will be at by the end of 2025. And I
Hmm.
cannot believe the speed at which we're traveling now,
Yeah.
and the different, and it's just so hard to keep up. I think that's the difficulty, isn't it? It's so hard to keep up.
It's I think AI is probably going to help us with that in the end. I think what's happening at the moment, and the way I look at it, is AI has turned into kind of this megaphone. It means that we can market in, you know, a million ways at the speed of sound kind of thing, and we can repurpose content and we can turn, you know, podcasts into blogs, into social posts really, really quickly. So there's this vast quantity of content going out there. And I think my prediction is it's going to have a couple of effects. The first is I think we are starting to see the death of social media as we know it, because it's
Definitely.
so difficult to understand what's AI generated and what's authentic now that people are moving away from social media and they're kind of going, do you know what? I don't even trust that to be a real person, let alone the truth anymore. So I think it's going to shift our relationship with social media, which is probably a good thing, let's
Yeah.
face it. But then the next phase that's going to follow on from that is AI will not only help with the broadcast, but it will help with the listening. So we're going to start using, I predict that we're going to start using it. And we're seeing it actually already in your email inbox, where we're getting these little summaries of what emails are about.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's going to happen next is AI will do the filtering and get rid of all the noise for you until we're at the stage where you've got content in a way and in a volume that actually suits you. So I think we're in the noisy bit at the moment, but I think the quieter bit is going to be coming as well. I think AI is going to have to help with that.
Because I think, and especially as a business owner, whether you're a salon or whether, I don't think it really matters, what business you're in. If you've got a business, you not only are getting all of your personal world emails and all of your personal world social media, but you've also got, like, running parallel with that, your business. And I know for me, I've got something like 4 different business emails because I've got a few different functions that I have. And trying to monitor it is overwhelming. And then you're trying to do all of the different channels across social media. And there is so much that you are trying to do all of the time as a business owner that I think for a long time, we've sat in a place of overwhelm and in a place where we believe social media is the only way because that's what we've been led to believe. And like social media, like, Meta has basically gaslit us for a long time. And I think people are starting to wake up to that reality now that actually in the fullness of things now, it doesn't really serve us.
No.
And I think trying to find ways forward that lighten our load and make things more accessible and more manageable for our poor little human brains to cope with. Because we're just in a place of just like, we have got too many bells, whistles, lights flashing, everything going at us the whole time, haven't we?
We
and
have.
we can do to reduce that has got to be beneficial.
And I don't think it's just waking up to social media not serving us, but I think that the bit that people are getting angry about is it's waking up to social media didn't serve us, and it never did.
No,
It never
but we
did.
just kind of fell into a bucket where we
Yeah,
believed that it was doing something.
absolutely. And that was partly down to the social media companies, but of course they would say that, wouldn't they? And part
Yeah,
of it was just this FOMO. It was like, well, they're doing it, so I have to do it. There wasn't
yeah,
any strategy behind social media for a lot of salons. But even those
no,
that have been strategic, you speak to most salon owners and say, what's your best source of new clients? Very rarely will they say social media. It's always either Google or word of mouth.
yeah, absolutely.
So, and then you look at where
That's
they're
never
actually,
changed.
no, and then you look at where they're actually putting the effort and energy though, and they're spending 8 hours a week trying to keep up with social media and reels when actually it doesn't bring them new clients anyway.
No,
So
no,
there's a lot of wasted time. But I think I'm not saying we can abandon social media,
no.
but if we can streamline that and automate it and get AI to
Yeah,
help us with that process of keeping
absolutely.
up, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, we just need to be present, don't we? I think this is the thing is, and I think it's understanding that in many instances we just need to have a presence
Yeah,
and be findable,
yeah,
and it helps with that authenticity to say, oh, actually, yeah, I've seen them on Facebook, I've seen them on Instagram, I've seen them wherever it may be that person's looking. But fundamentally, what they're going to go and do is like find your booking system or your website or
yeah.
your Google business profile, and that's actually where they're going to connect with you.
Yeah, I think the only time that I kind of would probably turn to social media is sometimes I don't quite trust that, for example, opening hours on Google My Business aren't always up to
No,
date, particularly over high days and holidays. Whereas generally you can rely, if someone's going to have shorter hours on Easter Sunday, normally they'll put a Facebook post about
yeah,
that or an Instagram
absolutely.
post. So then I want that up to date information. But I think the pressure to kind of perform like seals and clap 3 times a day for social media are long gone. I think probably 3 posts a week is plenty for most businesses now.
Is I think like with mine, but like for my salon side of my business that I still do, I actually don't post on social media
Mm.
at all. I rely fully on my Google business profile and on my website
Hmm.
because that's where I get business from. And I did post something the other day, and because I don't post anything, it's just
Mm.
like tumbleweed. But it'd probably be like that if I posted 3 times a week.
Well, yeah, but then if you're posting to Google My Business, why don't you just repurpose that post?
Yeah.
Just
Oh, it's just,
chuck
I
it on
mean,
Facebook and
I know.
Instagram as well. It wouldn't
Yeah.
hurt, wouldn't take you any longer.
No, I know. It's just, I know. I think I just choose to not be present on there.
Okay.
It's one business where I don't, because I don't need my salon to be my full income. Doesn't
Mm.
need to be my biggest line of my revenues.
Mm.
And so I just leave it. It just ticks over on Google. I update Google every now and again because that's where people are looking locally for me.
Hmm.
It's a local search, so they look on Google.
Hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, so um Top tip then, one last top tip before we
Okay.
disappear. What if there was one piece of information that people can turn to for AI at the moment, where
Oh
would
my
they?
goodness.
One
Top
bit, Phil, come
top
on.
tip for AI. Honestly, my top tip is put your hand in your pocket and actually pay for some of this stuff, um, because you're you're kind of trying to accelerate with the brakes on free versions of everything. Just choose a
Mm.
platform, any platform. The nice thing at the moment is everything's so fiercely competitive that somebody might say, you know, we were talking earlier, and I really like Claude for written word. I think it does a really nice job. Um, so somebody might say, well, Claude's better for this, or Gemini's better for this, or, you know, ChatGPT's better for this. Doesn't matter. Just choose one, because it's so competitive. If there's a shiny thing on that one, it will probably be part of that one by the end of next week.
Yeah.
So you haven't got to wait very long. So just choose a platform, put your hand in your pocket. You're looking at what, $20 a month maximum at the moment for the plus plans. And just play with it. The world's not going to spin out of orbit. You're not going to break the internet. Your business isn't going to die because you asked ChatGPT the wrong question. So just play with it, kick it around a little bit, see what it can do for you. Have some fun with it, interact with it, and learn with it. Because honestly, you know, in the same way as everyone felt like social media was the must-have, actually it isn't. We've established that. But, you know, websites, for example, it got to the stage where it would be insane not to have a website these days, and I think we're going to get to that stage with AI where it's insane not to use it anymore. You'll be uncompetitive and really struggling to keep up without.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on, and yeah, and we will catch up again soon, I'm sure, on the
Look
next
forward to it,
edition.
Danny.
Cheers.
Take care.